brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.
Welcome back. It's time for Tech Talk now, and South Africa's e-commerce market is bagging growth in just 5 years. Its contribution to overall retail sales has grown from just 1% to 10%. Industry is expected to grow to 130 billion rand this year. Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza joins us now to discuss what this growth suggests about traditional retail channels and the future of the overall industry as we know it. Mudiwa, good to have you with us on Business Lunch. All right, 1%, 10%.
Yeah.
What are we looking at in 5 years?
Well, that's the difference between, going from roughly, let's call it 10 or so billion to now 130 billion rand, worth of value that's now in the e-commerce space. That's off of the 1.3 or so trillion rand retail pie that exists in South Africa. We're talking mind-boggling numbers here. One of the things that I engaged with when it came to this report, because it was a joint project between the E-commerce Forum of South Africa, Takealot, as well as Mistra. I asked the Takealot CEO to say, okay, what are we seeing here? Is this simply substitution, where a person, you and I, instead of buying bread in the shop, I'm buying bread online? And they actually said, it's a net. It's actually a net gain in the retail industry. So as much as you can see 10% of retail, it's actually a growing pie over those 5 years. That's what we're talking about.
But that's incredible. People are starting to trust e-commerce. I know in the old days, people were like, I'm not sure about this. Will they take my money? Yeah. But we've got Checker 6060. They've all got their platforms. Pick and Pay, Woolies, all of them have got their platforms. And people are just piling into this now. It's going to get bigger and bigger. What about townships? I mean, there's gold right there.
Yeah. So based on the report, they're estimating that is a 900 billion rand opportunity because about 60% of micro, small and medium enterprises, still are existing in a sort of informalized, type of space. And, the likes of Takealot have been making inroads in that particular market, but there's still a lot of barriers, along the way. The most obvious one is connectivity, for the township as well as rural areas. And then followed by that is logistics, right? If you are Takealot and you're promising to get goods to someone very quickly, that must apply, in Sandton, in Cape Point and Cape Town, as much as it applies to someone who's in the middle of the Northwest, right? So that logistics infrastructure, right? And to my understanding, it was actually one of the reasons why the likes of Amazon actually held back from getting into Africa, that those informalized areas, those less formalized areas, simple things like addressing, right? How do you get goods, to people? But the likes of Takealot have been able to figure those things out. And then I think just the last piece, in there is simply finding a way to get the businesses that are operating there, to shift, because there's still a huge trust-based type of economy, to your earlier point, that is existing, in that particular segment.
See, this is the interesting part. We've got our e-hailing drivers, and let's be honest, perhaps e-commerce can have a look at that, because yes, there are no-go areas. Yeah. We all know this, but they seem to have it right. Maybe they could just mirror them or learn from them and come up with a better kind of strategy.
That's true. And also at the same time, the more that we can see of that type of activity, the more that the cost actually comes down. Whilst we were at the Africa Tech Festival last week in Cape Town, where this report was actually launched, the founder of Zulzi, who also happens to be the brains behind Checker 6060, was actually talking about the fact that there tends to be a standard cost to delivering in your metros, cities, etc. But when you go to less formalized areas and especially townships, your cost of delivery spikes because
you see.
you know for the things that we're talking about. So there are a lot of issues, but there's also thoughts to say, instead of just thinking about logistics from a simple delivering to the door, maybe let's also take advantage of pickup points.
Yeah.
In some of these areas, let's also take advantage of maybe personal shoppers, people that are coming in and maybe shopping on behalf of a community, on behalf of an area. Some of the interesting ways that people are thinking about addressing the specific issue.
Although we can also have drones as well. I know in some countries we have these drones flying over. And exactly, and that's it. I mean, the sky's the limit that goes with this. Why is it that you have like Shein and you have Temu and those kind of places who want to open up physical stores in countries? I know in Paris there was a bit of a hoo-ha about this because they didn't want it to be there. They're saying, you haven't got a license for this, and the French got really angry. But there's still that traditional store thing going on.
When I first started out doing what I'm doing, I remember one of the things that I first investigated, and the team at Attack told me, Attack operates Mall of Africa, they told me that in the festive season, Mall of Africa at that time was having 1 million people visiting the Mall of Africa just during the festive season.
Wow.
South Africa has always had a huge mall culture, huge shopping center culture, and we do see some of that still proliferating, even in the e-commerce world. And the likes of, the Amazons, the Takealots, and even just the main retailers have acknowledged that particular fact, that a person, especially for some of the bigger purchases, a person won't go and buy, let's say, a fridge sight unseen online. But what many people are doing is that they'll walk into a couple of shops, open a few fridges, decide the one that they want, and then go home and order it online. Right? So there's still a huge place. And also a lot of retailers are taking advantage of physical space to increase the experiential value. That is, they think about Nike, Adidas at Sandton City. They've got the smart displays where you can try things on, all of that. So it's used as a place, to showcase, some of the products, knowing full well that a person is likely gonna go online and order something. So there's still a place for that, retail element, that physical element.
Do we have the logistics for this? Because if you think about the internet is endless. You can, I don't know, export anything from Johannesburg out to Rwanda or, I don't know, Vladivostok in Russia if you really wanted to. But do we have the logistics to do this?
Logistics, yes. I'd probably say right now, from an e-commerce point of view, Takealot probably has the best logistics infrastructure. But because of the opportunity, we've seen a lot of other players. I think about the likes of Pargo and other companies like that, where you have third-party companies that are now saying, hey, business, we can deliver your goods on your behalf. That's one segment. The other one is the gig economy. We see it with another part of Takealot, which is Mr. D, as well as Uber and Uber Eats. They are now also delivering goods on behalf of businesses. So to your earlier points about what you can learn from, the e-hailing drivers, there has been, that move, to say, instead of just driving people and also just picking up, right, we can use that same logistics infrastructure. There are apparently 100,000 or so e-hailing drivers in South Africa.
You see, so you can do that. Mudiwa, thank you so much. Really do appreciate you taking the time to chat to us about this. And yep, the sky's literally the limit. Mudiwa, thank you. That was Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza.
Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.